Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the director of the DOJ Weaponization Working Group, Ed Martin. He is investigating the weaponization of government, including Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and the January 6th probe, among others. Ed Martin, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is why it gets worse for Democrats. Oh, hell. CNN. Brother Head and Shoulders couldn't wait to run to CNN. As it's not looking good for him as he's under full-blown investigation. These Democrats involved in the biggest scandals, the biggest lies, the biggest corruption, the biggest frauds. Yeah, shifty shift on CNN. This is good. It just gets worse and worse and worse for Democrats.
But do you believe that President Trump should get credit for, at the very least, trying to have peace happen here? The argument being that the Biden approach did not work, and that ultimately, even though there was a period when arming Ukraine seemed to really push the Russians back, that Russia reorganized, Putin reorganized his economy and his country, and then began to score some very significant victories on the battlefield, and that this is at least an attempt to bring an end to the bloodshed.
Look, I'm all for any attempt to bring an end to the bloodshed, but what would have been, I think, a far more successful strategy for the president was to have Ukraine's back, to be leaning into providing material and military support to Ukraine, to give Ukraine the resources it needed to take out the trains carrying fuel going to the front, which have continued to feed the war. But this is not what the president done. The president said,
you just can't make this up. You just can't. I told you. But what did you expect? Brother Head and Shoulders on CNN with Jake Tapper. What did you expect else from these Democrats? What did you expect else? Oh, you just can't make this up. No, Trump just posted this a couple hours ago.
What he did was particularly brazen. I mean, for years he claimed homes in both Maryland and California as his primary residence. The law allows you only one. And he actually admits what he did, but, he claims, all members of Congress have two homes. Well, that may be true, but all members of Congress don't claim them both as primary residence and violating the law, committing crime.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our We will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
I'll tell you, the hell with you criminal crook Democrats. Brother Head and Shoulders ran to CNN once again. And he's a little tense. A little scared. Looked like he's a little guilty up there. You could tell when somebody's coming after you. You would know he's being fully investigated right now. And it's not looking good for him. It's not looking good for Mr. Shifty Shift, Brother Head and Shoulders. But this just goes to show you that, Trump could get peace right now, can do the best things for America, in which he has been taking a lot of wins and doing a lot of great things. And even some Democrats have come out and said, I actually approve of what Trump is doing on this, and that. I actually like what Trump is doing. Yeah. And even tons of people that didn't even vote for him are saying that. But Trump could get peace right now. And this has to be said because it's a sad truth. He could get peace right now and they would still come out. Democrats would still come out on the fake news media, still come out in the public and say crap like this. Still downplay him. Still find something wrong. Something that they say is bad, something that's attacking democracy, unconstitutional, unpresidential, they would still come out. But we know why Schiff sounds like this. Again, he's under full-blown investigation, and I think he even came out after and said something about Biden in this as well. Yeah, a full-blown meltdown as the FBI is closing in on his butt.
And this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the director of the DOJ weaponization working group, Ed Martin. He is investigating the weaponization of government, including Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and the January 6th probe, among others. Ed Martin, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Oh, always a pleasure, Maria.
And Ed, it has really, truly been a decade of dirty tricks, and that's being kind about it, against Donald Trump, beginning with the Russia hoax, to the impeachments, to the indictments, to the Hunter Biden laptop. Assess for us the last 10 years in your view, and you have criminal referrals right now on Adam Schiff, Letitia James, among others. What is the status?
Well, first of all, thanks for asking about the last 10 years. I mean, you know, when Donald Trump came into office as president, he signed an executive order saying, go and find out how government was weaponized against the citizens. When Attorney General Bondi came into office, she put a memo, put more specifics to it, and said, get to the bottom of this. She gave a specific list and a broad charge. And I have to tell you, for your viewers, we have the Attorney General Bondi has that Department of Justice spinning like a top. We've got more stuff going on. A lot of it we can't talk about because of the nature of it, but it's going like crazy. And one of them was we were in a group, we're still in it, working on the Russia hoax. And Tulsi Gabbard declassified what happened, and she sent it over to us, to DOJ, as a criminal referral, and that's ongoing now. But what that was, and Maria, you're one of the earliest, I think you might be the only person, the only journalist who said early on, this is a Russia hoax. And you know, Brett had President Trump on an interview on that flight to Alaska, and in the interview, President Trump said the Russia hoax was meant to destroy the relationship with Russia, make it impossible to get things under control, get a reset like Hillary said she wanted. So what we have in the Department of Justice now is a weaponization working group and the backing of our leadership to go and find this stuff. And so the Russia hoax, we know the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8th, 2016, where the Obama administration, including Obama, said, don't put the truth out, lie, and ask the media to help us, and the Washington Post and others jumped right in. And then we had the Russia hoax that went on for 10 years. And every time they get in trouble, meaning the deep state and others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing across the government is saying, get the truth out. And then, by the way, let's hold people accountable. And that's exactly what's going on. So when Bill Pulte sends a criminal referral over to us, and he says Letitia James and Adam Schiff, and by the way, both their lawyers have come out and talked publicly about that criminal referral. So you can talk to them about the specifics, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do is we're going to follow the facts. Every American that has a mortgage or has other documents they sign has to follow the law. We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts. And if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing. Because when you're a liar, you lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing. So we have that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors.
All right, Ed.
Well, we are all waiting for
all right, Ed.
Adam Schiff went on Sunday morning programs and said there was collusion in plain sight. And he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, so he had to know better that there was no evidence of any collusion in plain sight. So are you saying that this criminal referral is about something completely different, about mortgage fraud? Are you looking to get him on something other than Russia collusion?
Well, I'm saying that there's a referral from Bill Pulte about a mortgage fraud, about Adam Schiff. That's publicly discussed. His own lawyers have been out there. Now there's more on Adam Schiff. And all we're going to do, again, is get to the facts of this and use all the tools that we have in our system. What we've discovered, and I know you want to ask me about some of this, in the weaponization, is that Joe Biden's Justice Department actively targeted American citizens, Catholics who went to Mass, parents who went to school boards, people who were involved in the Russia. You know, I hear from Carter Page every now and then. Carter Page, it was destroyed by the Russia hoax. And we're sitting around and pretending it's okay to say that, you know, there was a secret meeting on December 9th, 2016 in the Situation Room where they plotted the Russia hoax. And then we're going to say, oh, that was really bad. No, it wasn't really bad. It needs to be held accountable in every way we can.
Well, you went to Letitia James's home this week. You were in New York.
Yeah, look, I'm a prosecutor, and when I do these cases, I was in New York I was in Newark, actually, New Jersey, for some meetings, and I went over to New York for another meeting, and I went by there. One of the referrals is about that property that she has. Is a very a prominent neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I wanted to lay eyes on it. I think most people, if you're prosecuting something, you're careful. I didn't go there and announce it. Some woman came storming up and shooting video and talking to me, but I wanted to see the property, and there's a number of other aspects of these cases where you got to get a sense of what is actually at stake.
Lock that big heifer up! Lock that big heifer up! Oh yes! Can't wait to see big meatball and gravy go to jail. Oh hell yeah! They say Rick says she'll never that she won't go to jail, prison, and if they do get locked up, Rick, they'll just be let right out. I tell you. I just want to see that big heifer in handcuffs. If I don't get anything else this year, if we can see that big heifer right there in handcuffs this year, oh, it'll be Christmas. Oh, it would be an early Christmas. Oh, can we do it before Christmas? Please. Before December, can we do it?
Do you have a grand jury in these cases?
Let me say, when you get a criminal referral, one of the tools you have is a grand jury, and I'll leave it to you to infer what I mean. But these referrals are criminal referrals, significant enough that that they would warrant using all the tools, and the tools include subpoenas and witnesses, and that is in our system. That is the system. I'm not like Jack Smith. Jack Smith liked to talk about how he did things and what he did and brag about it. Letitia James did, by the way, as a prosecutor. She liked to come out and hold press conferences. I'll just tell you, when you get a criminal referral, and her own lawyer made the comments publicly, you can infer what you need to.
Well, let's talk about January 6th, because you are also investigating January 6th, which was also part of this 10 years of scandals. What have you learned?
Well, again, Attorney General Pam Bondi let us loose on this, and there's a group of us working on January 6th. What we've learned is that the federal government, the Department of Justice, but other aspects, targeted these citizens. They basically turned government on to make the hoax work. So I'm not talking about somebody that pushes a cop. That's a charge you can look at in charge. I'm talking about that the FBI and others were putting American citizens on terrorism watch lists. They were auditing their IRS tax returns. They were targeting the American people. They were taking massive amounts of resources and moving them from fighting, child trafficking and fighting real corruption and saying we have to move everybody to look at the Capitol siege. It was a political hoax that was driven by Garland, Lisa Monaco, and others. And what, again, Attorney General Bondi has said is get to the bottom of it. Some of it may not be illegal, but it's some of the worst. In federal prosecutor world, we think about the importance of that role. There's a guy named Robert Jackson who is the prosecutor guy. And what you see is Lisa Monaco's Justice Department acting in ways we've never seen before. This is going, and when we show all that, and we're writing reports regularly on it, it's not one aspect. The federal court system was used in a way. The jails were used in a way to punish people. It's foreign. They didn't do this to the terrorists after 9/11, and they were doing it to American citizens. So that's a fulsome investigation on January 6th. And it will make clear the hoax, which is really the 2020 election hoax. We were told we couldn't talk about it because of January 6th. And the whole thing is falling apart, Maria, and it's going to get to the bottom. And the players are always the same. It's always the same. The same people on December 9th, 2016, in the Situation Room in Obama's White House are playing the same game all these years.
Boy. Yeah. You just can't make that up. You just can't. Let's go and get into that CNN clip. And again, he up there shaking, melting down live on TV. Yeah, we coming to get you. They moving in closer and closer and closer. Those pardons should be null and void. In there begging the machine. Y'all done plugged the machine up to the wall. Can I get a pardon? Why would you need a pardon? Tell you, boy.
Senator from California. Senator, earlier this year, we heard that you said specifically that Putin views Trump as a, quote, child who can be easily controlled and manipulated. Do you still believe that?
I do. I'm really deeply concerned about what comes out of this. We saw in Trump 1 that disastrous summit in Helsinki where the president took the Russian dictator's side over our own intelligence agencies. I would hate to see a repeat of that. On the way to the summit, he's saying that he's not there to negotiate on behalf of Ukraine. He's praising the Belarusian dictator.
We are praying for peace, man, and I really I'm praying that this all goes through, that Trump once again makes history, and this is the man for it right now, President Trump, and this is why he's in there right now. And I want this to all go through, and I can't wait to react to tons of Democrats' responses and meltdowns live on TV, and just see what they say once President Trump achieves and wins. I can't wait, man. I really want this to go through. I really want this peace deal to go through. I want peace, man, and I want to see how these Democrats respond to President Trump getting peace. I just want to see what they're gonna say, because we already know what they're gonna say, but again, they're never going to praise him. They're never going to clap. You know, they couldn't even stand up for a kid with cancer or grieving families, lives that have been taken from their policies, from, you know, open borders, wide open. Can't even stand up and grieve with families. Can't reach out to them and call them. But hey, I think, you know, let's go to Ukraine, huh? I think Adam Schiff ought to get on the plane and take his butt down there. Yeah, donate your all your money, your salary down there. Yeah, take your butt down there to Ukraine.
And I'm concerned about how easily he could be manipulated by Putin. If Putin praises him, if Putin offers some kind of a joint oil or mineral exploration in the Arctic. And Trump thinks that, hey, this is his ticket to some kind of a deal and some kind of a peace prize. He never really has seemed to have support for Ukraine in his bones. It has to be forced on him. So I'm deeply worried about what could come out of this. And you know, ideally it would be a ceasefire. But I suspect that whatever Putin suggests, you really can't count on. The proof will be whether it really manifests after they leave Alaska.
But do you believe that President Trump should get credit for, at the very least, trying to have peace happen here? The argument being that the Biden approach did not work, and that ultimately, even though there was a period when arming Ukraine seemed to really push the Russians back, that Russia reorganized, Putin reorganized his economy and his country, and then began to score some very significant victories on the battlefield, and that this is at least an attempt to bring an end to the bloodshed.
Look, I'm all for any attempt to bring an end to the bloodshed, but would have been, I think, a far more successful strategy for the president.
What I think would have been a far more successful strategy. Nobody cared. You don't have no successful strategy. They need to put you in jail. I mean, prison. Slam a yard. Slam the door and turn the lights off. Talking about a more successful strategy. Boy, y'all, you Democrats, man. I tell you, boy, you just can't make this up.
Then was to have Ukraine's back, to be leaning into providing material and military.
Take your butt down there, brother Head and Shoulders. Take your butt down there. Yeah, take your butt down there and put your boots on. That's what I think they ought to let them do.
Support to Ukraine, to give Ukraine the resources it needed to take out the trains carrying fuel going to the front, which have continued to feed the war. But this is not what the president done. The president said essentially Ukraine won't be part of NATO, so he's dealt away a terrible concession even before there's any kind of negotiations. The vice president today in saying that, you know, we're done with providing military support for Ukraine. How is that facilitating a successful negotiation? That's essentially giving up both the military support, NATO membership. Indeed, the president talked about land swaps, giving up potentially territory of Ukraine, even before you sit down at the table. So I agree. The Biden approach didn't succeed, and I think because it was too slow to provide enough material support to Ukraine to give Ukraine that military advantage it needed. But what the president has done since taking office has been to undercut that. We have a bipartisan bill, as you know, strongly bipartisan, to sanction Russia. The president hasn't allowed that legislation to move forward. And the president's own threat of imposing sanctions, he withdrew on, at least until now. So I don't think this is the successful negotiating posture Ukraine deserves.
Obviously, any peace still has to be negotiated between the leaders of Russia and the leaders of Ukraine. Do you agree with the general note, though, that whatever ceasefire or peace deal comes forward, whenever it happens, it is almost guaranteed that there will have to be some concessions of land by Ukraine, whether the U.S. and the Western world recognize it?
I don't even know why we got his up on here asking, and you can kind of tell it's Tapper's the way he's looking. He's like, what did I expect? What did I expect asking Adam Schiff questions on this? What did I expect? He's being fully investigated right now. I mean, man. And he know he done did wrong. He know he done lied. You know he didn't, you could kind of tell in Tapper's face, like this is pointless.
Or not, and obviously to be agreed upon by Ukraine. But do you agree that that's almost certainly a requirement for there to be an end to this horrific war?
Well, Jake, I wouldn't go into this negotiation conceding that at all. I wouldn't concede territory. I wouldn't concede NATO membership. I wouldn't concede anything. Russia
you wouldn't do anything.
Ukraine. It has murdered tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And our position going into any negotiation should be we stand firmly with Ukraine. We stand with our European allies. And much as I wouldn't have the president make any territorial concessions